Hey, everybody, welcome to another edition of Bucs Live. I'm excited about tonight. Guess why? It's time again. It's here. Hallelujah. Camp begins. It's time for another show. It's time for another season. It's time for all of it. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing fantastic. And yourself, Rick? How's things in Charlotte?
They're going great. We will be with you in just a moment to talk all things Bucs on Bucs Live.
Are you ready?
Get ready. It's time for Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers talk with Rick Hughes and David Whitecarver.
This is
Bucs Live.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right. Let the fun begin. Let the party begin. Let the season begin. Let it all begin. How you doing, Dave?
I'm ready for week one, man. I'm ready. I'm there.
It's coming.
I'm already there.
It's coming, brother.
It's just got to catch up to me because I am there right now.
Well, it's coming, and it is coming quick. Guys, we are here for another season on Bucs Live. My name is Rick Hughes. That one over there is the dazzling one, David Whitescarver. And we are absolutely ready for another season, jacked up, excited. It's time. It is time. It's time. So much to talk about. What you guys think is going to happen during the season, what we think is going to happen during the season. There's just a lot. There's a lot. I'm excited about it. There's a vibe about this season. There's little news trickling out here and there that we're going to talk about. Dave, you got some news?
Actually, I do. I was just perusing the internet, and there's joesbucksfan.com reports this. The Bucs today placed Gregory, that being Randy Gregory, on the reserve did not report list. Now, that might spur the question is, what is the reserve did not report list? Well, let me tell you. This is for players who have left their team or stopped playing NFL football, but have yet to submit retirement papers. This player does not count against a team's roster limit or its salary cap. So basically, let me interpret for you. Randy Gregory, we're done here.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Nice seeing you, Randy.
Guess he didn't need the money.
Yeah, I guess not. Adios, Randy. You know, when they say, oh, yeah, he just came and had a cup of coffee in Tampa. Well, he didn't even do that. He signed a contract and then never came back. I mean, it's a little bit odd, but, not for nothing. The same thing's true for Shaq Barrett down in Miami. And think about this. Shaq Barrett went down to the Dolphins, signed a contract, was going to be a free agent for the Dolphins, and then said, I don't really want to do this. And he's announced he's retiring, as opposed to Randy Gregory, who just hasn't said anything. But, at least he didn't pull an AB and take his shirt off and run off the field. I mean,
Well, maybe he did, but nobody was in the stadium. We don't know. We can't confirm or deny.
That's a point. You make a point. But anyway, Christopher Cole, hey buddy, it is beginning to look a lot like football season. It's time, buddy. Christopher, I hope you're here for this season. I'm excited about it. It's going to be an exciting year. Dave and I have some feelings, rather strong ones, about this season. Dave, why don't we just break this open? Let's crack this puppy open, which is a really gross saying when you think about it. But let's go.
Say it.
I know. Let's go ahead and crack this open. Tell me your just right now. Let's kick the season off. Toe meets leather. What do you think is coming this season?
I think the Bucs are going to exceed expectations even more so than they did last year. I am just taken aback by the lack of respect from the national media related to the. I've yet to find anybody who is saying that the Bucs are going to win their division. They've won 3 in a row. You had people who were clownish saying they're only going to win 2 games last year. They were about 7 short. They're probably going to be 7 short this year, and they're going to win 11 and 12. The Bucs are going to be dangerous. They're better than they were last year. You have a better offensive coordinator, I think, by far, in Liam Cohen. And it's going to show. And Chris Godwin is going to have a breakout. He had 1,000 yards last year, but only 2 touchdowns. And I think he's going to be back to his pre-injury self.
Well, we have discussed Vita Vea losing weight and coming into camp in better shape. But news is trickling out that he's not alone. He's not alone. Apparently, something got into the water this offseason. And a lot of the Buccaneers apparently are showing up feeling dangerous, like Baker would say. Apparently, Baker Mayfield is in pretty much the best shape of his career. Apparently no more dad bod. Vita Vea, right guard Cody Mock, and outside linebackers Yaya Diaby and Jose Ramirez all, I guess, are showing up in phenomenal shape. They've all apparently worked very hard this offseason, and apparently this team is hungry. Or for the Atlanta Falcons and Raheem Morris, we hungry. And apparently they're hungry to win and have shown up this year. This is just to let everybody know this team apparently is showing up in the best shape of their lives, ready to go, motivated, hungry, wanting to win. That is all you can ask for from your team. Well, no, it's not. You want them to actually perform. But this is a team that I think is going to perform. And every little bit of news that is sneaking out of camp, every little bit of anything, other than, I guess, Randy Gregory, every little thing.
Who?
Yeah. Every little thing is good. Guys, this is teed up, no pun intended. The season looks and feels right. It looks and feels good.
It's been a quiet off season, which is what you want. Exactly what you want.
And apparently it was very quiet because they were all working out. They were all getting in shape. And apparently they were doing it together. Apparently there's, I guess, every once in a while, something happens with the team. And we've seen this as Bucs fans, where every once in a while, for some reason during the year, for one season, it's almost like a bug, almost like you catch it's almost like a winning virus that spreads. And everybody, for some reason, gets motivated and gets on the same page, and everybody's pulling together, and the team gels, and it just works. And that's what it's feeling like this year. I think we're seeing that start to come to fruition. I'm excited now. I'm more excited as I read the notes about the way people are showing up and how motivated they are and how ready they are. Baker Mayfield has made it very, very, very clear in recent interviews since he signed. Baker Mayfield has made it extremely clear he loves being a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, that he's enjoying football again for the first time in a very long time. He wants to win. He's focused on that and not just trying to keep a job or not just trying to. Here's the difference with Baker. he's in a place now. Everybody, I want, and Dave, you can make a comment about this. Have you ever worked in an environment where you're there, you're putting in your all, you're doing everything you're supposed to do, you're trying, but they don't really want you there, and you're kind of like a third wheel there, and you're not really fitting in, and you're doing your best, and it's not terrible. But it's not great. It's not, like, wow, okay, I want to be here. You ever been in that kind of a position at work?
Yeah, or you're like having to self-motivate because it's a drag working there. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get in bad situations.
Yeah. Well, he's not there now. He's in a situation where he's like, I'm in Tampa. I love being in Tampa. And Tampa wants him, which is a new situation because he's been willing to give us all in other places. But there's always been some weird reason that the team didn't want him. I still don't know why Cleveland didn't want him. I still can't answer that question, why Cleveland didn't want him. I understand why the Panthers didn't want him because there was no reason to spend money on anybody with that team. I mean, that was
There still isn't.
Oh, my God. The Rams, he was the number 2 guy. He was, he came in, he played some, but he wasn't the guy there. If you look back over Baker's career, this is what's different. And I've talked to you about this. I've mentioned, when you look at Baker Mayfield, the main difference that I see with Baker and Carr in New Orleans. Okay, Baker came to a team that said, okay, let's build a system that fits you. And with Carr in New Orleans, they basically said, here's our system, fit in. I think the main thing that I want to point out is that this franchise is doing, and I don't know who learned this, but this actually goes back. This really goes back to when Brady came. So you've got to partly wonder if this isn't Brady leftover. Something that the organization learned. When Brady came in, they molded the franchise to fit him. And everything worked. And I wonder if the team itself didn't look at that and go, well, this makes sense. Let's do this again with the next guy. And they've done that with him. They're putting together the team, the coordinators, everything to fit. For Jason Light's first couple of years, when Jason Light was the GM, he was bringing in players and for a head coach and an offensive coordinator 1 year, that then the coordinator leaves, before the year even starts. And then the head coach leaves after that first year. Well, he's got all these players for that. And then they change systems. So they got the wrong players, but in comes the new coach. All these are the wrong players for that system. So that doesn't go well. So what do? While they're drafting for this new coach, the first guys aren't succeeding. Now the new guys, you get rid of this coach. Now the new guys aren't succeeding, and you just end up with this big mess. What they did is get everybody on the same page. What the organization did, and I don't know who learned it or how it got learned, but with Jason Light and everybody else, everybody got on the same page and started pulling in one direction, getting the right players for the right system, getting the right coordinators for the players that you have, for the system that you have, making everything work together, making everything pull together. And it seems like this is the first time that I can tell you as a Buccaneers fan, going back to the beginning, starting with Tom Brady, everybody got on the same page. I've never seen that in a football franchise. Now, I'm sure other franchises do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying we invented this. I'm saying, as a Buccaneers fan for 50 years, this is brand freaking new for the Bucs. That everybody's on the page together, pulling together, trying to win, trying to do what they need to. And it just feels good. Dave, any I mean, where am I wrong? You've been around as long as me.
I think that Jason Light has been here long enough, and other key components of the Bucks have been around long enough. It really does go back to ownership. You have very stable owners who let their football people make the football decisions, and you have a very mature, a very seasoned, a very organization that has a vision and the means to get there, and they're not cutting corners. Sometimes you cut corners when you lose a Brady. You can cut corners. You can try to put square pegs in a wrong hole out of necessity, but the Bucs have refrained from doing that.
Yeah.
And they went and they got Baker Mayfield for a bargain. It was a match for both sides, and it's worked out great up to this point. I mean,
you can tell Dave's happy because he's calm. He's talking like this. It's like, okay, everyone, welcome in. Let's talk Buccaneer football.
It's going great.
We're
not going to lose 10 games this year.
I mean, to me, it's funny. To me, there's a whole difference between what the Bucs used to do, where in free agency they would go out and try to get the biggest name they could in free agency. And that's, then they plaster them on the outside of the stadium, and that would be great. I saw apparently Baker Mayfield, there's one of the big signs on the outside of Raymond James is a Baker Mayfield. And there was somebody I saw online, and actually I'm going to go ahead and play this because it just fits.
Stupid Bucs fans say.
I saw this sign. I saw this post where somebody was saying, does Baker really deserve to have a solo banner on the outside of the stadium? Yes, he's your starting quarterback. Yes, idiot. Does Baker deserve it? Yes, he deserves it. Stop. Seriously. Come on, man. Does he deserve it? What did he? You tell me who should be on there. Let's have this conversation real quick, Dave. 4 signs, one in each corner of the stadium. Okay. Who should absolutely be on this? Let's talk about it.
Antoine Winfield Jr.
Absolutely. Who else? Baker. Who else?
Mike Evans.
Absolutely. Who else? Crickets. Okay. Crickets. And this is my point that, I'm guessing Tristan Wirfs. Okay. But you're going to put a guard on the outside or a tackle, on the outside of the stadium.
Put up Graham Barton. He's new.
Maybe what you can do is put the O-line on one of the signs.
I like that idea.
Okay. Put the O-line on one of the signs, and the other 3 guys we're talking about, put them up there. You can put Evans and Godwin together, put Baker by himself, and Antoine Winfield. The man deserves them to erect a whole new place to put a banner. Okay. That guy deserves, that season last year is one of the best seasons I have ever seen any Buccaneer have ever. And I think that's an interesting question. Oh, Levante, Christopher Cole brought it. Golly, how did I not think of Levante? Thank you, Christopher. I did not think of Levante. Yeah, Levante should be up there. But it's this. My point, I guess, that I'm making is to say that Baker shouldn't be out there by himself, have a banner alone. Dude, you're our leader. You're our captain. You are our quarterback. We're riding on your shoulders. You know what, buddy? Here you go. You get the MVP slot on the outside of the stadium. I don't get it. And, I'm not much for the disrespect talk. I'm not much for that. I always hate that. I really do. even though Dave just did it. I don't like it. And I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're disrespecting Baker. I'm just going to say you're stupid. And I don't think the people are disrespecting the Buccaneers. I just think they're stupid. And they don't realize what this team is, or for some reason they're fighting against how good this team is. They're denying it. It's Tampa. We're kind of off to the side.
You no longer have Brady, so you're back to being your miserable self.
It's not like we haven't earned the lack of respect. We've kind of earned it, but we're Tampa. We're not.
Hey, we're back over 40% as far as the record of the organization for the entire.
Nice.
For the
40%.
We're over 40.
Wow,
we weren't until Brady came along.
Yeah, nice.
We were below 40.
Yeah.
In a
at
league
one point, weren't we like 32 or 33% or something crazy?
I'm thinking after those 12 straight years of 10 or more losses that it was pretty low.
Yeah, I was thinking it was like 32, 33%.
It was quite low.
Yeah. So 50% is all of a sudden, give us a decade or so and we can get there.
I was going to say, let's not get crazy here.
Give us a decade or so and we can get there. But I don't know. It feels, this season feels like it's going to go one way or the other. It's going to be, I mean, hopefully no injuries, right? Everything hinges on that. Baker goes down. Everything changes. Right.
You're not a big Kyle Trask fan,
huh? If Baker, barring there being key injuries. So listen, everybody right now, accept this, understand this, wrap your mind around this, guys. Somebody's gonna get hurt. This is NFL football. It's not, gosh, we hope nobody gets hurt. Somebody's going to get hurt. All right. What position do you guys, Christopher, you're out there. What position can this team just not afford to lose? What is the position other than quarterback? We all know Baker's the guy. Other than quarterback, what is the one most vulnerable position for this team? I got a thought, Dave. You could be thinking about this. My thought on the most vulnerable position is cornerback. I think. Oh man,
I agree with Christopher. I was going to say left tackle.
Okay, the pass rush to me. The pass rush to me is. This team has to have a pass rush. There's been times when you look at a team and you go, gosh, I want there to be a pass rush. Gosh, it sure would be nice if we had a better pass rush. There's more than that. It's more than that. We have to have a pass rush. If we do not have a pass rush, they are going to throw the ball up and down the field on us. That's, I think, fact. You got Antoine Winfield back there, but other than that, we've got some pretty good guys, but pretty good doesn't cut it against some of these wide receivers.
Hey, Jordan Whitehead's back.
Thank God. Hallelujah. Let's all, you know what? There's a part of me that wants to put him on the outside of the stadium. Okay. I love Jordan Whitehead. Everybody, y'all can know this now going into this season. I love me some Jordan Whitehead. I mean, I am so happy. I was crying a river when he left. I watched him with that 3 interception game, week 1, I think it was. Christopher, the Buccaneers have been rated by PFF as having one of the most improved offensive lines, and that's just not starter. They have some depth at offensive line now. It's different for us, and I know it's hard to adjust to, but this team actually has a little bit of depth, a little bit. Let's not go crazy, but a little bit of depth on offensive line. But we don't want to lose our center. Okay, we do not want to lose Graham Barton.
No, we do not.
But that I'm actually feeling really good about our O-line. I really am feeling good about our O-line. Now, Graham Barton is a rookie. He's going to play like a rookie. There's going to be adjustments. There's going to be, but he's a center, and centers tend to come along okay. Physically, the change in what he's dealing with now versus what he was dealing with in college is the biggest question mark. Usually takes a year or two for them to beef up and man up instead of being college boys. Takes a little bit for them to grow into their man bodies. So that is the only fear. If you recall, Gerald McCoy, I believe, tore his I think, was it his pecs or something? The first two.
I thought it was his pectoral, but don't.
Yeah, tore his pecs both of the first 2 years he played. It takes a little bit to adjust to the physical game of the NFL. Graham Barton, hopefully he'll be fine. But I feel pretty good about offensive line. I really, guys, the biggest weakness position-wise, to me, third wide receiver. As far as starting goes, our number 3 receiver, I'm a little baffled. I guess the plan is we'll kind of wing it as we go. We'll figure it out as we go. I guess that's.
You're not sold on Raheem Jarrett?
I have no reason to be at this point, do I? So I guess we'll see. I don't know. I'm excited and I'm nervous. But hearing today how great a shape everybody's coming in, and that I guess the team itself was a little bit shocked when everybody showed up. I guess the team itself saw what shape everybody was in and was sort of like, like I don't think we've been at this position as a franchise going into training camp. I remember it was either last year or the year before, one of those 2 years, when they were basically saying, guys got to get back into playing shape. Guys have to get back into playing shape. And they were expressing a little bit of disappointment that they didn't really do what they needed to show up to show up to camp in shape. And I can't remember who the player was, but there was one of the players, gosh, I can't remember who it was, that coaches were really kind of disappointed that they showed up out of shape. If anybody knows what I'm talking about out there, Christopher, if you remember what I'm talking about, let me know. But there was some player in the last year or two that the coaches were disappointed in them showing up out of shape. And you're not hearing any of that this year. And that's different. That's new. And as camp gets kicked off Wednesday, as camp begins, hallelujah, guys. It all begins. Here we go. Buckle up. It's time for 2024 to begin. I don't know. I mean, that's my thoughts. Dave, you have anything? We got a guest that's going to be coming on here shortly. Dave, do you have any insights, thoughts, questions?
Well, basically, the Bucs are betting on the players they already have to improve significantly enough to have a pass rush or an improved pass rush this year. That's rolling the dice a little bit, but it's not like it's inconceivable that they can get some pressure on the quarterback. So I think that's something to definitely be looking out for to see, can they get pressure? Can they get a rush going? If they can, it's going to be a key to the success of the season, how far they go.
Please get pressure. Everything rides on them getting pressure. Everything. This whole season, everything rides. Last year it was sort of like, what Baker Mayfield are we going to see? And can we get pressure? Now it's just pressure. That's all that matters. Pressure, pressure, pressure on the quarterback. Yaya Diaby saying he wants 10 plus sacks. Well, that'd be nice. There are what we need. Turn them loose. Todd Bowles, turn them loose. We got to do what we got to do to just hassle and harass the quarterback. It's the key to this whole season. It's not our wide receivers. It's not our quarterback play. It's not our tight ends. It's not our offensive line. It's the pass rush. It's the pass rush. It's the pass rush. I'll say it over and over and over again. This is going to be my running theme that you will hear. It's all about the pass rush. I'm if we come out in preseason game 1 and look awful, but we put pressure on the quarterback and we lose 42-3, I'm good. I mean, that is literally the only thing I'm going to be watching is pass rush. I don't know if we are. Usually you hear about this, and I think it's usually the Dolphins. I don't know if we have inter-squad practice this training camp. I don't know if we're doing a week where we work with another team or anything before we play them in preseason. I know that happens a lot. I don't know if that's happening this year. I think it's usually the Dolphins, but I have not read that we're doing that, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. I've been pretty busy. Got a lot going on. Not really sure whether that is whether or not that's happening.
It's still amazing to me. Shaq Barrett at the ripe old age of 31 says, I'm good. I'm done.
Well, I think you got down to Miami and said, I don't really want to be here. I mean, that's what I was saying earlier about your place of employment and how important it is and the culture and the environment. I've worked in places where I loved what I was doing. But if you're radically underpaid or you're radically underappreciated, it ruins your, the tenor and vibe of your time there. It really does.
It drains your enthusiasm.
Yeah. And people like to say, well, how much do these guys really need? They're playing a game. I hear you, but there's going rate. There's going market. I mean, could I survive on less money than I make at my job? Sure, I could. But why would I want to? Why would that make any sense? Why would that, if everybody who says, well, these players are getting paid too much. Well, the owners are making a lot of money. Don't feel bad for the owners when they're negotiating. And, there's tough negotiations between the Players Association and the owners.
Nobody's hurting in professional sports.
Yeah, seriously. And this is what drives me nuts and why I dropped out. Dave, you will remember this, and I won't spend too much time lingering on this subject matter, but we spent a lot of time being baseball fans together growing up. And when there were those 2 strikes in, I think, a 3-year period, and I said, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. It ruined that for me. Now, I still will turn on baseball now and again, and I'll still check it out, but I'm a casual baseball fan now. And I used to live, eat, and breathe baseball, just like you, Dave. The NBA, I've lost my passion for the NBA. The NBA, I just don't. I used to love watching the Magic. I used to love watching the Orlando Magic. And now, okay, if they're winning, if they make the playoffs, I'll kind of keep an eye on it, and I'll watch it if it gets a little bit exciting. And if they make a run at it, yeah, great. I'm a Magic fan. Woohoo! But I'm not a big time NBA fan or a baseball fan anymore. But what the NFL has done, and the reason I brought all this up is I'm still an NFL fan. I'm as much of an NFL fan as I've ever been. I mean, I can't wait for this season to start. It's been a long freaking off season, and here we go. Buckle up for another crazy season. And I heard finally they announced against the Falcons. I think it's week 3 or something like that. When did the Bucs play the Falcons the first time? That's going to be the creamsicle game where the Bucs come out wearing their creamsicle uniforms. And I keep seeing posts where people saying, why are we bringing these awful uniforms back out? We never win when we play in them.
Awful.
You know what?
Awful?
Yes. People keep saying, oh, we never win when we play in them. Okay. You know what? I actually don't care. I mean, it's just so beautiful. They come running out. When they come,
they're awe-inspiring.
Oh my God, I love those uniforms. I do wish that they would come back one year with the white ones, with the white throwbacks.
Oh,
yeah. I think that would be great with the orange pants. That was a good look. That was a lot of fun. So I don't know. I have no idea. But Dave, tell me this. What's your expectation for I guess my biggest question? Like, I still see, and this is mind-boggling to me, but I still see is Todd Bowles on the hot seat. I mean, can you explain to me how that's a question? Because I don't get how that's even. How's anybody even asking this question?
If you're one of the 32 head coaches in the National Football League, in a sense, you're on the hot seat.
Oh, but that's not what they're saying, Dave. They mentioned like 8 coaches that are on the hot seat.
I understand. Well, I was going to continue with, if Bill Belichick can't get a job and was horrible in his last couple of years, nobody's safe. If the Bucs go 2-15, yeah, Todd Bowles is on the hot seat. I mean, it's a win or leave kind of situation in the NFL. If the Bucs have a great year, he's not on the hot seat. If they implode, he's on the hot seat. That's kind of how it works. It's not something these people you put on the hot seat, they make lists and they're like, okay, who's most likely to implode this year?
Sorry about that.
Who's most likely to implode this year? And we're going to make an article that says who's on the hot seat. I mean,
but I got a question though. I mean, you brought up Bill Belichick, and this is why I don't think it's a fair parallel. Bill, you said if Bill Belichick can't get a job, I think Bill Belichick could have gotten a job. I think Bill Belichick was a little bit picky about what jobs were offered to him. I think, I genuinely, honestly think he would have taken, the Panthers would have offered him a job. There are teams that would have offered him a job. And I think he just said, yeah, I'm not doing that. And so it's not that Bill Belichick can't get a job. It's that they're hard to come by.
Well, let me put it this way. Let me clarify what I was meaning. If Robert Kraft had kind of had enough of Bill Belichick, no coach is completely safe.
Okay. I've had enough of Bill Belichick. I think the problem with Bill Belichick I think the Patriots were trending downward fast, and somebody had to grab hold of the reins. And I don't think he was willing to. I don't think he was willing to, what's the word? Give up any control. You know what? Let's bring in our guest. The one, the only, the awesome JT Olson. How you doing, buddy?
Good. How are y'all?
Great. We're discussing this. We're discussing, first of all, the reason Belichick doesn't have a job is because Belichick didn't want one. That's my thought. Okay. And second of all, if Robert Kraft, why did they get rid of Bill Belichick? What do you have? What do you think?
Um, I really think at Belichick's age, it's just where do you see your future going with a coach who's in his 70s? I mean, do you really want him on board for a rebuild? How long do you have him in that process? And I think if there was a ready-made contender that he could just step into for a year or two, kind of like Bruce Arians, then I think a team would have jumped on that. But a lot of the teams who fire their coaches, they're bad rebuilding teams, and I don't know if they like the prospects of a guy who's much closer to the end of his career than the beginning.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. And I think the Patriots made the decision based on the fact that I think they said, okay, we got to make some structural changes here. And Belichick was probably like, are you kidding me? Look at what I've done. And they said, no, we really need to. And he said, all right, I'm out. I think that's how that went down. I don't think it was disrespect. I don't think any of that was the case. But I do think it is settled. It is settled in the history books. It was Brady. It was Brady. It was Brady. It's been proven. It's crystal clear. If you look at the statistics, it's not questionable. It's not debatable. It's not close. It was Brady. Agree, JT?
I think it really was just a dual effort. I tend to give a little more to Brady, but I mean, I have to separate Bill Belichick, the coach, from Bill Belichick, the GM, where he was a really bad GM. And the last couple of years with that Patriots team, that was a really untalented roster. So, I mean, I don't expect any coach to win with that group. And
Right.
Bill Belichick put that together. So that's on him as a general manager.
Right.
I mean, credit goes to Belichick for making Brady a starter because he went out on a limb. Drew Bledsoe was the starting quarterback in New England, and he got hurt. And when he came back, Brady had the job, and that was that. That was Bill Belichick's call, and I think he made the right one. And most coaches don't make that call.
Yeah, you're probably correct on that. He made one good call. I just don't see him as. Look, he's got a losing record without Brady. He has a ridiculously good record with Brady. There's that. I mean, you can just simply draw a line right there. It's I don't know. I think it's Brady. So JT, talk to me about this season. Let's get back to the Bucs. Talk to me about this season. Talk to me about you're writing a series of articles for Bucs Report that I was interested in hearing about. Tell everybody about them.
Yeah, so I woke up yesterday and I thought to myself, oh crap, rookies report to training camp today. I better get some content out. So I did a rookie preview for what to expect for each of the Bucs rookies this season. And I wanted to try and make it as realistic as possible. So I kind of outlined what fair, reasonable expectations are for all of these guys. So I went through each, rookie got their own piece, Barton, Chris Braswell, Tyke Smith, and I kind of grouped all the day 3 guys together because, they're backups. But, I want to really evaluate what we have here and what is fair expectations as they report to camp.
Okay. So you're writing about all the different rookies. Now, the one I'm most excited about, tell me if I'm crazy, is Chris Braswell.
I don't think you're crazy. I think if you pick any of those first 4 rookies, it's a good one. I mean, the Bucs had a great draft class.
Yeah. Jason Light does not get the credit he deserves. How is that guy? He's never been GM of the year, correct? Or he's not
even ranked in these off-season rankings as that top tier. I see him floating around 9-10 in a lot of these rankings. And it's just, you've got guys like Brad Holmes, who's been a GM for 3 seasons at 2 or 3. And there's Jason Light just kind of floating around 11.
Yeah. So Christopher Cole just brought up something in chat. And every time there's a name out there, people start talking. Bucs fans are like, we got to get him. I guess CD Lamb is saying he's not going to report in Dallas. My question I want to ask you about is the third wide receiver. I
Or
wanna
lack
talk to-
thereof.
Right. That to me is the glaring weakness on this franchise. To me, you've got stuff in every other position where you're like, okay, okay, or or a very positive. The third wide receiver position, I'm like, no, okay. it's a. Am I crazy? Am I wrong for feeling as insecure about the third wide receiver position?
So I do a lot of draft content during the
Yeah.
off season, and around March, there was the big question: who is this year's Puka Nakua going to be? So I put out an article ranking the top 5 receivers in the draft who could, kind of overachieve their draft slot and be a really, really good receiver when people aren't necessarily expecting them to. The number 1 guy on that list was Jalen McMillan, who is exactly who the Bucs got, like 2 months later.
Right.
So I am very high on not Puka Nakua, him too, but Jalen McMillan.
It's a family-friendly show. Please try not to say Puka Nakua. No, I mean, I hope you're right. Okay. I hope you're right. Now, okay. So the rookies, we don't have any past to sort of judge them on. But there's, the articles that I'm reading, everybody's coming into camp in very good shape, like very good shape. I guess Baker's in the best shape of his career. Vita Vea lost weight, which maybe means he can be a disruptor again. That would be new after last year. I was telling Dave my theme for this camp in this preseason. I am focused on one thing and one thing alone. I don't care about anything other than stay healthy and rush the freaking quarterback, pressure the quarterback. That's the key to everything. I don't care about anything else. Am I wrong?
Yeah, there are a lot of questions going into this camp about it. So, I mean, that's one of the big things that the Bucs have to figure out is who their pass rushers are. And you're right, it is critically important. Todd Bowles can't just manufacture every single year a top 10 pass rush. It's not sustainable. You have to have someone who can legitimately get to the quarterback.
Yeah. And do you think they have somebody?
I think they do. I really think they do.
Who?
And I think that guy is Kalijah Cansey.
Okay.
Yaya says he's getting 10 sacks this year.
I would like to believe that. And Chris Braswell will get 10, and JTS will get 10. And, it's going to be good times in Tampa.
I am counting on Chris Braswell. That's my Dave's been on this kick with what's his name, Dave? You're the center.
Ryan Jensen?
Yes, Dave's been on this Ryan.
AI's going to fix him.
Where he just constantly is just talking.
AI's going to fix him.
All that matters is Ryan Jensen. The answer to anything. Let's have a Mount Rushmore. Ryan Jensen. It's everything is Ryan Jensen. This is me with.
He was
Chris
a quintessential
right
Buck.
I'm looking at Chris Braswell that way, as in, oh, for the love of God, please be the answer. Somebody has to come in. There's going to be a guy. What's going to make the difference? We got a lot of really good guys. It's going to take one guy who's not a really good guy, but who's just going to destroy some things. And that's going to, everybody's going to light up. The whole, all these other guys who are really good are all of a sudden going to look great. Simeon Rice, holy cow, Warren Sapp, that whole defensive line was great. And Derek Brooks and everybody back there, Rondé Barber, John Lynch, they all looked great because together what they did. Let's be honest. Dexter Jackson, Super Bowl MVP, Dexter Jackson on any other team would not, we wouldn't still mention his name from time to time. And I still see him mentioned on the radio, or hear him mentioned on the radio, and see posts about Dexter Jackson. That's because of everybody else. I'm not trying to dog Dexter Jackson. What I'm saying is
he was in a very good situation.
Well, really good players look like great players when there's great players around them. You're going to get a lot more interceptions if you are playing behind a defensive line that's getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback. And all of a sudden you look like, wow, look at all these great picks you're getting.
Yeah, you got confidence you can jump the route. You're not worried about having to extend the play, trying to cover an NFL quality wide receiver.
Yeah. Quarterback's going to have to get rid of the ball quicker, and you turn them into Jameis Winston, and that's kind of important. But Johnny, look at our rookies and tell me, you said we have a really good draft class. What's the biggest weakness out of this draft class? What is the biggest weakness?
The biggest weakness from this draft class?
Yeah, who's the one that you're like, yeah, maybe a little overrated? Is there anybody that you're a little bit not sure about?
Yeah, so the one I come in with the most questions about is actually the first pick they made in Graham Barton. I was way lower on him than consensus. I think I had him in the mid to late 30s on my overall big board, just because he has great upside, but he is played tackle most of his career in college, which, is fine. Most of all the Bucs offensive line does. But there's going to be a transition, and we don't know if he's going to be able to successfully make it as a rookie. It's different hand placements. I don't know if he has the strength right out of the gate to play on the interior and be as effective as we want him to be. And so many people had him as this top 15 player. He's a plug and play. He could be a Pro Bowler in year one. And I think we're going to see a lot more growing pains than that. Very similar to what we saw with Cody Mauch last year, although probably not as bad because he did go against a much higher level of competition. He's a better athlete. But you're still going to see some of that in terms of his hand usage and his overall thickness to play in the middle.
I just brought this up. I don't know if you saw earlier in the show. I said that it takes a while for these guys to grow into their man bodies. It takes a couple of years, and you just got to keep them healthy. And, hopefully he can navigate through this season. And, as he turns into a professional football player,
how concerned are you when you're looking 3-5 years out for Graham Barton? Do you think it could be a whiff, or he just needs to get acclimated to the NFL?
No, I think it's just a matter of getting acclimated. I think, 2 or 3 years from now, we could be looking at him like a Creed Humphreys, because you look around the league and center is not a very strong position anywhere. So, he could be a top 10 center in the game 2 or 3 years from now, maybe top 5. But, I do think it's just a matter of, this year. But, most of the year, most of the year doesn't even matter. If they take the first 15 weeks to gel and come together, and those last couple of weeks going into the playoffs, that line really starts to click and Graham starts to really get it. That's all I care about.
Yeah, amen to that. And this team has a history of starting the first couple of weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, really strong. And then the wheels kind of get a little wobbly for several weeks, and everybody starts panicking and freaking out and calling for Todd Bowles' head, and then they close out the season on a run. That seems to be the pattern that this team has. And looking at the schedule, I could see that happening again.
Scheduling has a lot to do with some of this too.
Well, yeah, but it's when year after year after year you're having the same thing. I'm not so sure. This year the schedule lines up to just like what I said. Start great, then struggle, and then finish strong. I mean, I think the schedule maker, while nobody else seems to like the Buccaneers, apparently the schedule maker did. And I think the schedule maker did the Bucs a lot of favors. JT, your overall, when you look at this year, how long you been a Bucs fan?
Oh, elementary school. So like
So not that
late
long.
yeah. Mid late
Us
90s.
too, but there's a little more bigger golf we're dealing with here.
Us too, but that's a lot different. So, okay. As you look at this season, now there are times you get vibes coming into a year. You feel like you're feeling good about this year. You're questionable this year. You're confident about this year. You're like, uh-oh. I mean, give me your vibe. What's your vibe this season?
I feel really good going into this year. I feel like the Bucs are in that perfect position where no one's talking about them. They got a bunch of young players. So right when you get to playoff time, they could be that team that no one wants to play. My expectation is they go further than they did last year. I expect this Buccaneers team to be in the NFC Championship game and hopefully beyond, but I don't expect that. But, this should be one of the best 4 to 6 teams in the NFL once we get to playoff time.
Yeah, I think we're poised to make noise. I think we're positioned to make a little noise, assuming injuries are not brutal on the team. We're in a position to make noise. And by the way, if this makes you feel any better about our brand new center, Dave, what's the statistic?
Measuring success for a draft pick is they sign a second contract after their rookie contract. Using that as a yardstick for success, centers have a 93% success rate. The next closest position's in the 50s.
So,
which kind of alludes back to your point that there aren't a lot of great centers, period, in the NFL.
93%, though, I can feel pretty good about that. I mean, that's a pretty good statistic. I'm comfortable with that. And all early signs from what they're saying about him. He's smart. He's picking up the system. All of those signs are good. So there's nothing saying, we got a problem. like our dearly departed free agent who never showed up this year.
Who might that be?
JT, you got any Randy Gregory comments?
I don't even know who that is.
That's good.
He's just Thano dust in my world.
That's excellent. Like
that
Dave said
it
earlier,
all right there.
That's right. Dave said who? Yeah. And because of the designation, and I wondered about this. I said this. This was my question: is if you sign a guy and then he just doesn't show up, does it count against your cap? And find out today, no, it does not. Randy Gregory will not count against the cap. So I don't know what he was on the books for this year, but that means they got a little cap room. I mean, a little bit to play around. Let's see who else ends up being out there. And, it save it. It's okay to have a little cap room because, like I said earlier, somebody's going to get injured. It's the NFL. Have a little cap room so you can work with that. You got anything you want to add, JT?
No, I don't think Gregory is scheduled to make very much. I think he was always going to be that fourth guy, a situational pass rusher. And once they got Braswell, he was going to be fighting for a roster spot anyway. So I think it's a minimal amount of money they'll save, maybe like 1.5 million, maybe 2. But,
okay.
A little extra cash in the pocket never hurts.
Yeah, I'll take it. I'll take it the way this team has struggled with cap stuff in the past. I appreciate you, JT. You got anything you want to add? Anything you want to talk about?
I'm just excited for camp to get underway. I'm going to be looking for, all these storylines. I'm going to have some articles coming out, as the week goes on. Excited to get back into football season. We're going to be starting up our podcast, the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast, here in the next, week or two. And it's excited to get back to the grind.
Excellent. Where does everybody find you?
Y'all can find me at Bucs Report. You can find us on YouTube. Creamsicle Chronicle, part of the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast, part of Bucs Report. And you can find some of my other work over at the Around the Block Network. I do a sports gambling podcast. You can check that out if that's something you like to do. So you can find me on the interwebs.
Excellent. At Icewater Olson, as I believe where you find him on the Twitter machine. All right, guys. Appreciate you. JT, thank you for coming. Hope you'll come by a little more this season. Would appreciate it. With the knowledge about the rookies, I'm looking forward to your articles on Bucs Report. Thanks for coming by.
Always a pleasure, JT.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get on a little more this year. Just depends on what time the kids get to bed.
Okay, that
Priorities,
would be great.
I understand.
8:00 Tuesday nights.
We'll see. It depends on if the oldest is cooperating or not.
All right, excellent. See you later, brother.
Have a
Take
good
it
one.
easy.
All right, Dave. It's time, buddy. The season's finally freaking here.
And I think the things that we're going to focus on and which will determine is it going to be a good or a great season are starting to come into focus. Can you get pressure on the quarterback? Yeah. Is what's in house good enough to do that?
Yeah.
Is that third receiver going to be good enough to make the other receivers in the offense better? That's going to be the storylines that we'll be focusing on, and it's going to determine what kind of season this is going to be for the Bucs.
I agree completely. Absolutely 100%. I think that's what it's all going to come down to. Guys, thanks for being here. We'll see you next Tuesday night at 8:00 as camp will be in. There will be news thing. We'll have all kinds of news will be going on, press conferences all week. Dave and I will be checking out all the news and press conferences and all the stuff going on.
It's here. It's here.
I got a little surprise at some point is gonna probably right as the regular season starts. We got a new little fun little thing that's gonna happen, and Dave will bring back "Don't Be a Baby" as the season gets started, and people are back in the news and acting like babies. And
there's never an off season for babydom.
Let the fun begin. It's time, guys. It's time. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.
We sucked today. I sucked today. We sucked today. It was awful.